for giving me this opportunity. Let me start by saying also that I sit in the Agricultural Committee, and I'll start by commending the committee for the effort that they've put into this particular bill. Having gone a couple of times over the weekend throughout working Sundays to Mondays, Mr. Speaker, sir, this is indeed a clear indication that the committee is dedicated to seeing that and ensuring that legal frameworks are put in place that will ensure that the farmers of this country will no longer suffer from the predicament that they've been suffering from. Mr. Speaker, sir, it has been said, and rightfully so, by many senators who contributed to this debate. Farmers in Kenya, be it sugarcane, be it coffee, be it tea, be it macadamia, be it avocado, have always been taken advantage of by middlemen because of lack of sound legal framework that would protect them. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is indeed unfortunate that most of our farmers who have worked so hard to put a straight meal on the table have ended up being exploited. This bill, Mr. Speaker, sir, is a perfect indication that indeed with good legal framework, farmers can be protected, farmers can be assisted, and most important to Mr. Speaker, the bill ensures that the money, the levies and the revenue and the sales that's collected, it does not only go into repairing of roads, but also research is given its rightful place in the industry. Mr. Speaker, sir, we know that after the colonial era, there were sound research institutions in Kenya that saw many sectors perform very well. But as we progressed and corruption became a part of our society, people were taken advantage of. Farming was reduced. The brokers living in big cities took advantage of the poor farmers. Most of them, their yield, their work, their inputs, they ended up paying for loans that they never took. They ended up paying for inputs and fertilizers and other pesticides and the like that they never used. Why, Mr. Speaker, sir? Because there was a lack of a framework that would govern how that is administered. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, sir, moving forward, and now that we are enjoying the most political goodwill from none other than the President of this country, to ensure that the farmers are given their rightful dividends, to ensure that we put in place sound mechanisms anchored in law that can be enforced to make sure that farmers get their rightful dues. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is indeed very impressive when you listen to the President address each and every gathering, telling them that, yes, we can feed this nation. Mr. Speaker, sir, this has for the last 60 years dodged us. But now, with the right political leadership, under his leadership, the leadership of His Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, we know that we can indeed deliver our farmers from the bondage of the blockers. We know that we can ensure that they get the rightful income from their hard work. We know that farming and agro-business is going to be even more attractive to even the young Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, sir, that is why I would want to commend the Committee in Agriculture, led by my able chair, Senator from Murang'a, Senator Murango, who has ably steered the committee into formulating into public participation of various bills. Cotton, Mr. Speaker, sir, coffee, Mr. Speaker, sir, tea, we have seen macadamia, avocado is on the way, and most importantly, to put in place sound legal framework that will ensure that farmers do not only get their rightful dues, but they are also encouraged, and that the government puts the right infrastructure and mechanisms in place to ensure that farmers are no longer conned of their hard work. Mr. Speaker, sir, this house, being a house of promoters and protectors of devolution, the committee has seen into it, Mr. Speaker, that the role of the county government has not been marginalized, but it is left at the center, because we know that agriculture is a devolved function, and with the spirit that has the President gave on his inauguration speech, ensuring that functions are unbundled and they are followed by the budget, we want to see, and this bill ensures that the functions and of management of sugar, like many other crops that have come before the Agriculture Committee, is a central, the county government becomes a central player. Why is this important, Mr. Speaker, sir? We know that Kenya has been facing the problem of rural-urban migration. The only way to ensure that the rural population, especially the younger generation, can be and can get into meaningful generation of income is to make farming attractive. And how can we make that attractive, Mr. Speaker, sir? One, we must have the legal framework in place. Two, we must have the right policies in place. But most importantly, Mr. Speaker, sir, the political goodwill to ensure and to attract, to create incentives to the younger generation so that they can pick up farming is very, very important. It is therefore imperative, Mr. Speaker, sir, that we put legal mechanisms in place that will ensure every farmer who plants a seed will also harvest and reap the benefits of that seed. Mr. Speaker, sir, that has been made dodgy in many sectors. I am therefore very, very happy that this bill seeks to address the issues that have been very dodgy. We know sugar industry for all the long reasons, Mr. Speaker, sir. Be it poisoned by sugar that is unfit for human consumption, be it sugar cane that does not meet the quality, be it sugar cane that has been delivered and never been paid for. Mr. Speaker, sir, with the introduction of this new bill and the amendments that have been introduced before this committee, by this committee, these issues are going to be addressed. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm a very delighted Kenyan to see that today, what has not been possible for the last 60 years, within 1.5 years of us sitting in this committee, within the first 1.5 years of this Kenya Kwanza government, the plan that we promised the farmers in this country is being realized. We see, Mr. Speaker, sir, that the government has been able to subsidize fertilizer. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, these are some of the benefits that must trickle down to all the farmers. But that has not been possible because of the governance and accountability issues, because of lack of well-defined legal framework. Mr. Speaker, sir, with this bill, the passage of this bill, we will ensure that what the government subsidizes indeed gets to the farmer. And Mr. Speaker, sir, it would be unfair not to say that the government committed itself to all the debts that were out to the sugar cane, and it is in the process of doing the same for the coffee farmers. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, moving forward, we must ensure that the legal framework that is in place will ensure that the farmers are not siphoned of their money, because it cannot be the business of government for some people to enrich themselves only for the government to come and bail the farmers out. Having a clear slate, a clear starting slate, Mr. Speaker, sir, will ensure that the farmers of this country, they do not only enjoy their sweat, but they are also protected by the government. And that, Mr. Speaker, sir, can only be done when that is anchored in a life-living document like the envisaged in this bill. There is, however, some few things, Mr. Speaker, sir, that needs to be adjusted as we move by, that needs to be amended. But having said that, Mr. Speaker, it is also important to say that law in itself is not static. It is a flexible document that will be, as time changes, some of the clauses will need to be modified so that as we build capacity more and more at the grassroots level, we will ensure that we also put in place regulations. We will also operationalize the law in terms of making sure that some of the clauses that are not quite practical can be amended. Mr. Speaker, sir, the introduction of sectors and zones in the sugar growing sector, it is a welcome move, because it is not only going to be good for elections, but also for the millers to also be able to create incentives so that they can get outgrowers, they can get farmers who will be prepared to sell sugarcane to them. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, sir, I would also want to point out that in all other farming sectors, Mr. Speaker, sir, I know, because I sit in this committee, that we are preparing ourselves so that by the time we are done with our term in this Senate, the history of this country, the history of agriculture, and what the problems that have confronted agriculture in this country will never be the same again. We want, Mr. Speaker, sir, and that is a commitment from our chairman, Senator Murango, that nobody again will in this country stand up and use agricultural sector as a campaign tool, because we are going to do what it takes to ensure that what has been promised for the last 60 years is implemented. The reason why is that is possible, Mr. Speaker, sir, it's because we have a government that is coming with a lot of political goodwill to ensure that we deliver the farmers of this country from the yoke and the bondage that they've been suffering from people who have been acting as the brokers and as the go-between, people who've been acting as the marketers. And I want to say that with the commitment of this committee and the political goodwill from the national government and the fulfillment of the plan, yes, we will deliver the Kenyan farmers from the bondage of brokerage and from the bondage of the oppressors, because we want to change this country once and for all. Mr. Speaker, sir, I support.
Senator Mutinda Tabitha.